One of the most dramatic street-going Ferraris ever made, and yet still one of their biggest sellers, the Ferrari Testarossa, 512TR, and 512M epitomize everything alluring about the flair of the 80s. Born in a decade that brought the world MTV, shoulder pads, and hair metal, it's only fitting that the aggressively straked, wedge-shaped Ferrari would become deeply entrenched in popular culture and be the poster car for young boys everywhere. The Testarossa series was Ferrari's best-selling 12-cylinder car. They made about 10,000 throughout the three various series. So first there was the Testarossa, and then the 512TR like this car, and then the 512M. And they got a little more exclusive with some upgrades and visual changes throughout the different series. So the Testarossa came first, and they made about 7,700 of the original Testarossa. And they produced about 385 horsepower. Now, all of the variations have the same 4.9 liter flat 12 engine, but with some upgrades. So for the 512M, they boosted power to about 422 horsepower. So a pretty significant jump in power. And for the visual differences, you can really tell from the front of the car. The grille is very different. It's a smaller grille, whereas the Testarossa, the original one, kept the same squarish look to the front as the rear. So that's an easy indicator to tell. For the 512TR, they only made about 2,300, so way less of the 512 than the original Testarossa. And then the final variation was the 512M, and they only made 501 of those, and they boosted power in those cars to about 434 horsepower. So the M is the most desirable because it's the most rare. However, back in the time when that car was produced, the DOT would no longer allow the iconic pop-up headlights, so they had to have the covered headlights. And this is just personal taste, but me, I prefer the look of the pop-up headlights. I'm not a huge fan of the covered headlights on the 512M. They have some great mechanical differences and improvements, but visually, I love the look of the 512TR and original Testarossa more than the 512M. The Testarossa is an evolution of the 365BB and 512BB, or the Boxer. But the problem was the Boxer was never made for the US. It didn't meet any of the EPA or DOT requirements, so it was never sold new in the US. Ferrari needed a 12-cylinder car for the US market. So they came up with the Testarossa. And a lot of what they did in the design of the car was not only, style-wise and became iconic throughout the years, but it was a functionality thing. So the reason the car is so wide is because they put the radiators in the side of the car instead of the front. That actually solved a lot of problems. So basically with the Boxer, the radiators up front left very little to no luggage room in the front, plus you had to have the water pipes going down the side of the car, and that really heated up the cabin. So that was a big issue that was solved by putting the radiators in the rear, which also gave it that very wide look. And instead of trying to disguise that look with, tricky body styling, they just fully embraced it and made it super squared off and aggressive. And it was a great choice. I mean, the aggressive look of the Testarossa is synonymous with the 80s and just stands out in people's minds. It has forever, so since they were first introduced. It's a combination of fixing the Boxer's problems, but creating an iconic car at the same time. So this is a Euro model, and the easiest way to tell just by looking at the car is these little side markers right here. So on Euro models, they're the little dots, and then on US models, they're rectangles. You could just take a look at not just the Testarossa or 512TR, but 308s and lots of various cars throughout the year, various Ferraris, and immediately be able to tell whether it's a US or Euro model. And then the side strakes on this car that have just stuck in people's minds throughout the year, they're not only there because they're aesthetically pretty awesome, but they serve a really important purpose. So since the radiators are back here now, they put these in place to make sure that when you're driving, nothing big can get stuck and block the airflow from the radiator. Not only were there quite a few visual differences between the Testarossa and the 512 TR, but they made a lot of really amazing mechanical improvements as well. So one of the most important, besides the boost in horsepower, they actually shed some weight off the car and they lowered the engine and gearbox by about 30 millimeters, but that really improved the center of gravity in the car. And the old Testarossa, the original Testarossa, it's very rear end heavy. You got that big 12-cylinder engine in the back. So by lowering it and improving the center of gravity, you have a lot better handling, which is really important in a mid-engine car like this. Plus, they improved the brakes too. They gave it bigger brakes. It has more horsepower, better drivability, better center of gravity. It is a bit pricier, but it's that nice middle ground if you want the slight improvements over the Testarossa, but you don't want to pay $500,000 to $700,000 for the 512M because of the exclusivity of only 501 of them made, then the 512 TR is that perfect middle ground of not so expensive, but you still get really good mechanical improvements in the car. The Testarossa and the Countach were direct competitors. While the Countach and the Testarossa are both very kind of wild designs, especially for their time when they were created, the Testarossa just has a lot more creature comforts. Now, the Countach, obviously, I mean, it's a crazy design. It's an awesome car. Nothing wrong with it. But it's not something that you'd want to get in and go for a long drive. They're not very comfortable. They have basically no luggage space. And I mean, try backing one up. They're pretty hard to back up or do any kind of casual driving in. Where the Testarossa, it does have the front luggage space, a very comfortable cabin, especially with a car like this where the AC works real well. It's just a very pleasant and powerful and fun drive. And that's probably the reason that in the 12 years of the Testarossa creation, they sold 5 times more cars than the Countach did in 16 years. I've always loved the Testarossa series. Basically, the 12-cylinder Ferraris have always just, I mean, how can you not love them? It's the legacy of Ferrari, but the 512, the Testarossa series, the 512 TR, 512M, they're, instead of the V12, obviously, they're a flat 12. And because it's a mid-engine car, it drives very different than your front-engine V12 Ferraris, but in such an amazing way. Because it's such a wide car, it just kind of, like, feels stuck to the ground. And now that doesn't mean it can't get loose on you, and if it does, it happens very suddenly. But as long as you respect the car and know what you're doing, it just drives amazing. I mean, they handle beautifully and they have so much power. I love the feel of the mid-engine cars and the balance to them, the 308s and the Dinos, but they weren't fast. They were never very fast cars, whereas the Testarossa and the 512 TR and M, they really get with the program real quick. They sound incredible, and they drive so nice. Oh, and this car, the AC is working very well, so I get to sit here in comfort with the AC blasting ice cold and just listen to that wonderful 12-cylinder engine behind me. It's amazing. I know I always describe the Testarossa and the Boxer as a flat 12. And technically it's not the traditional boxer engine. So in a boxer engine, you have the opposing pistons reaching the top and the bottom at the same time, which gives it that boxer name. However, the Testarossa and the 512BB and 365BB, the original boxer, Ferrari boxer, they don't have that same boxer style engine. It's like a traditional V12 firing pattern in the engine. They've laid it out to 180 degrees. So I guess it's better described as a 180 degree 12 cylinder engine, but it's just easier to say flat 12, and it does have the flat 12 cylinder engine, even though it's a different firing pattern. So either way, it doesn't matter. They are incredible cars to drive. I've had a lot of fun driving this car and filming it, and I hope you guys have learned a little something about the 512TR. If you like this video, please subscribe, stay tuned, because we got a lot more coming very soon.